Hey guys and gals, so today I'm going to be doing a new tutorial on how to add blueprint weapons. So you may be asking, what is a blueprint weapon? So by default in the template, I use the weapons are skeletal meshes. So as you can see here in the character, the weapon is just a skeletal mesh, and when you change weapons, it switches out this mesh. And in the data table, all of the weapons you set their skeletal mesh in the data table. So here's the weapon model. So that's all good, but what if you wanted to make a weapon with, say, cool attachments, a red dot sight and a grenade launcher and or a silencer on it? Well, you would need to either combine those meshes into one static mesh, but that's no fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to put them all into blueprints where you can customize them. So if you look here, this would be a weapon blueprint here. So you have your mesh, but then you can also, and then you have your muzzle flash. So instead of, before we played the muzzle on a socket, which you can still do if you want, but I also added a muzzle location here so you can move it around. I figured that would be good in case you wanted to add, say, like a silencer that sticks out way up here. You can, instead of having to go in and add a new muzzle and stuff like that, socket, you can just move the muzzle uh, arrow here to wherever you want your new muzzle to be. And you can also add things to your gun. So see, I added this little glowy sphere here to the weapon. And then this weapon will show up in your character's hands. So then you can have lots of different weapon blueprints and be able to switch between them. So let me hop into the game and show you what it looks like, and then we'll hop into the tutorial. So here we go. As you can see, I have my gun here, and it's got that little glowy ball. And everything works just like always. You can pick up other guns, and it switches between them. You can see now my gun's on my back. Switch it again. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's the exact same as before. Same as before. It's just now we're going to be doing the weapons are all going to be in Blueprint. So let's hop into the tutorial. So what I've done is I've made a brand new project here so we can add all this stuff in from scratch. So I made a little list here on what to do. So first we're going to add an actor class reference to the data table. So we need to go to the data table, which is in HTT, weapons, and the weapon info struct and weapon info table. We'll open up the weapon info struct, and what we're going to do is we're going to click the new variable here. We're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. We're going to call it, I'm just going to call it the same thing I called it in my other one, which I believe is weapon BP. So we'll call it a weapon BP. And the variable type is going to be a actor, but it's going to be an actor class. So when you hover over actor, you come over here to class reference. It's in purple. All right, and then save that. Now when we open up our weapon info table, we'll go and edit let's say the starting rifle. So if you click on the starting rifle, which is what you start out with, scroll all the way to the bottom, and now we have this new category here called weapon BP, and it'll let you pick whatever blueprint you want. So now we need to actually make a weapon blueprint. So we're going to make a parent weapon blueprint. So I'm going to put that in a new folder. And so inside of weapons, I'm going to right click, new folder. We'll call this weapon BP. And this is where all the weapon blueprints are going to be stored in this folder. So we open that up, right click. We're going to add a new blueprint class, make it an actor. We'll call this parent weapon BP. So all weapon blueprints are going to stem from this. They'll inherit this one here. So we'll open it up. Going to add a new component, skeletal mesh for your base weapon. We'll call it weapon mesh. And I'm just going to give it a basic one, let's say like rifle or something, just so we can see it. Okay. And let's also add that muzzle component. So let's just add an arrow. And this will be, I'm going to rename the arrow muzzle. And we need to rotate it 90 degrees. And then move it to wherever the muzzle is. I'm also going to resize the arrow. I'm going to make the arrow color like purpley pink color. And I'm going to resize it to like 0.3. That way we can see it and move it a little better. Okay, let's just change this down to like 1 snap size so I can move it a little better. And you can put this wherever you want, but this is just the parent blueprint right now, so it doesn't really matter if it's exact or not, because you're going to move this arrow around in your other weapon blueprints when we create them. All right, so that's going to be our parent weapon. And let's see what we have to do next. So now we have that. Now we have to add a new child actor to character for this weapon and the stowed weapon. So in the characters folder, so it's HGT characters, base character, third person character. We're going to open that up and we're going to be adding a new weapon here. So you click on your mesh and then we're going to click add component and we're just going to type actor and you want to click child actor and that'll add a new child actor. We're going to call this weapon BP. And we want to attach it to our hand just like we did our other one. So I believe that's called the right hand socket. Yeah. So parent socket is going to be the right hand socket. And there we go. Now it's attached. We need to do the same thing for the stowed weapon. So let's click on the mesh and add a component, actor, click on child actor. We're going to call this stowed weapon BP. And the stowed weapon is attached to the stowed weapon socket. So for stowed weapon BP, we're going to attach it to the stowed weapon socket. There we go. So now you can double check. It should be zeroed out for over here location, rotation, and stuff like that for both your weapon BP and your stowed weapon BP. That way they'll attach directly to where they're supposed to be. Okay. So you won't be able to see anything yet because we haven't set these, but we're going to. All right, so now we have those added to the character. Now we got to create 2 new reference variables called current weapon blueprint and stowed weapon blueprint. And we're going to set those in the character here. So let's go into, there's a function in third person character, 2 of them called set active weapon variables. And there's another one called server set active weapon variables. We're going to be adding both of these to a new variable to both of these. So let's start with set active weapon variable. But let's make a new variable first. So on the left hand side, we'll click variable and we'll call it CW weapon BP. So this will be stands for current weapon blueprint. And it needs to be set to an actor, I believe. Actor, but it has to be the class reference, the purple one. Okay. And this is going to be replicated because we need everybody to be able to see what gun you're holding. And we need to make another one of these. So I'm just going to come up here to variables, click variable, and we'll call this one stowed weapon BP VAR for variable, I guess. I would call it stowed weapon BP, but it's already been used for the component, so we're just going to use this. It's just like a reference variable that we're going to be using in the code. So it's set to actor, and we also want to make it set to replicated as well. And now we have to set these variables. So let's see here. We just have to go into the set here to that. Okay. So we drag in the current weapon BP, and we're going to hit set, and we're going to connect this weapon BP here from this big long struct. We're going to connect it here, and then we have to drag it all the way to the bottom to set it. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing over here on the server set active weapon variables. Drag in the current weapon, set it, connect it down here. All right. So now when you switch weapons, it'll set it to the correct weapon blueprint you have. All right. Now, what's the next step here? The next step is to add a weapon reference variable and set it every time you equip, switch weapons, stuff like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the event graph of the third person character, which is where I'm at now, and I believe it's all going to be done inside of the cycle weapon up and down and stuff switching weapons. So let's just pull up my my already finished project so that way we can accomplish this. I can see exactly what I did. Okay. Gotcha. Easy. Cheesy. So we're going to set the stowed weapon. We'll start with cycle weapon up. So cycle weapon up. At the very end down here, you have this part here where we set the stowed weapon model. Now we're going to set the stowed weapon BP bar. So we're going to set that variable to whatever your current weapon BP is. Drag that in here and then connect it up here. Connect it over there. So we got that. And I think we also need to do that on the cycle weapon down, which is right below this one. Same exact thing. So we'll just move this over a little bit again. Copy, paste. Plug it in just like we did before. Plug it in just like we did before. There we go. Now we need to edit this server switch weapon. So if you double click it, it'll pull it up right here. And what we want to do is we want to add a new input. And it's going to be set to actor class. Well, you just have to type actor and then hover over it and then click the class reference. So we click that, and then we're going to call it the, what should we call this? Stowed weapon BP class. So that's what we'll call it here. Stowed weapon BP class. It's a big one, but it'll be okay. So then once we have that, all we have to do is set the stowed weapon model to whatever this is, then connect it up. But we also want to make this stowed weapon variable the replication condition to skip owner. So set it to skip owner and replicate, and we're good. Okay. So now that we have that, I think we can jump into the set with notify here. Let's see. Update, add new weapon mesh. That's what we're doing. So right below cycle weapon down, there's an event called add new weapon mesh. And what that's going to do is this is where we're going to actually set our new blueprints and stuff like that. So in the set skeletal mesh here, this is where it set the old weapon models and stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the child actor class of these weapon blueprints. So we're going to take the weapon blueprint, drag it in, and then get child, or what is it? Set child actor class. And we're going to set that to the current weapon blueprint. Current weapon blueprint sets that. So what this does is takes the weapon in your hand and sets it to whatever the weapon you just switched to. And then we're going to do the same thing for the stowed weapon. So let's just get the stowed weapon BP, set child actor class, and we're going to set it to our stowed weapon that we set earlier. And there we go. Now, let's see. If you're just wanting, which I would recommend, if you're just wanting to use weapon blueprints and you don't want to use the old system with setting weapon meshes and stuff like that, then you just disconnect this, and we're just going to reroute it down here and not use this anymore. So I'm just going to leave it here for now, but it's not going to be plugged in, so it's not going to work. So if you do the tutorial and it all works great for you and you like it, then you can always come back in here and delete those two if you don't want them. But I'm just going to leave them for now. All right, so now that'll set our new weapons and stuff like that. But we need to do one more thing, I believe. So we got to make another variable, and it's called current weapon BP reference, or current BP ref. So what that's going to do, we'll click new variable, current weapon. Did I call it? I think I actually called it current weapon BP ref for reference. And the variable type is going to be that parent weapon BP that we created. Got that? Okay. And right after we set this, what our weapon is, we're going to have to set that this new variable that we created. So let's take this new variable, we're going to set it, drag down here into that and that. So basically what we're going to set it to is we're going to get this weapon blueprint. We're going to, I think, get the child actor. And then we're going to cast to parent weapon BP. And you can just right click this cast and click convert to pure cast. And what this is going to do is allow us to set what weapon we have, this reference variable, to there. And this will make sense in a second why we're going to be doing this. Basically, when you equip the gun, it's going to be setting what gun you have to here. That way we can use that gun later for like weapon traces and muzzle flashes and stuff like that. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so now that we have that done, there's one other thing we have to do. I believe it's in the pickup. When you go to pick up a weapon, we got to tweak one more thing. Yeah. So let's find pick up weapon. It's a function over here on the left side. Pick up weapon. Click that. And if you look up here at the top, you set your stowed weapon model to whatever your current weapon model is. So we're going to do the same thing, only with our new blueprints. So we're going to set the stowed weapon BP var to our current weapon. So that new stowed weapon BP var, we're going to set that to whatever our current weapon is. And like I said before, we don't have to use this anymore. So I'm just going to move it out of the way. Connect this up over here. There we go. So now when you pick up a weapon, it'll actually set it like it's supposed to. Now let's look down here. I think that's everything we had to do. Because all it does is the same exact thing. Yeah. All right. So now that that's done, now we need to get the shooting and the muzzle flashes and all that working with our new weapon. So to do that, all we have to do is open up the bullet trace and the projectile bullet trace. So on the left side, there is a function called bullet trace. And by default, the bullet trace takes the weapon, skeletal mesh weapon, and gets the socket for it. But what we want to do is we want to get our new weapon blueprint and get that arrow muzzle that we created. And that's where we're going to be shooting from. So to do that, Let me just open this up and I'll show you. So all we have to do is we take that new reference variable, get the muzzle, and plug it in. Easy, right? So that new reference variable we created, current weapon BP ref, we're going to get it. We're going to drag off of it, get muzzle. At the very bottom here, we get the muzzle. And then instead of shooting from this weapon, we're going to disconnect that. We're going to be shooting from the muzzle. And I'm just going to copy this. And we got to plug it in down here as well. So disconnect the weapon, plug in the muzzle. So now it's shooting from the our new weapon blueprint from that muzzle that we created. I'll show you again. This little arrow here is going to be where it's shooting from. All right, so now we have that. We need to do the same thing in the projectile bullet trace. So that's in the functions over here, projectile bullet trace. Open it up, do the exact same thing. We're just going to attach muzzle instead of weapon. Down here, right there. Do the same thing. Muzzle instead of weapon. There we go. So now we'll be shooting from the right location. Now the next thing I believe is the muzzle flash. So in the event graph, we need to find the simulate fire, which is right down here. Simulate shooting and reset when done. So if you double click simulate shooting, which is also over here on the left side in function, simulate shooting, this is where it plays the animation montage and spawns the muzzle flash. But we don't want to attach it to this weapon anymore. We want to attach it to their muzzle. So same thing, you get the current weapon BP reference, get the muzzle attached to the component here. And that should do it for the muzzle flash. Compile, save. Let me look at my notes. Okay, now we have to do the hide the weapon when the camera collides with the character. So if you back into the wall and the camera gets pushed into your character, it makes you and your weapons disappear. We need to add that logic in. Okay, so let's do that, which is inside of the event graph. Where's that at? Event graph. Got so many things open, it's hard to see it sometimes. So up at the very tip top somewhere in blue, there's one that says hide character on camera collision. What we want to do here is we want to make a new event, custom event. We're going to call this server what is this? Server local. What did I call this? Server local hide or something like that? Let me just double check. So it's server local hide self. It's a mouthful, ain't it? So let's call it that. Server local hide self. Because we're gonna make this run on the server. And let's make one more custom event. Custom event, and we'll call this one local hide self. And we're gonna make this one run on owning client. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna change up these begin overlaps here that lets you hide yourself. So we're gonna call the server local. I may have to compile before it'll show up. Server local. Did I spell it wrong? Yeah. Left off an R. Now it should let me do it. Server local hide self. And we're just gonna remove this camera hide collision. We're gonna move it down there. We can delete the top one. Okay. So now what this means is if your camera overlaps yourself, then it'll call this, and if it ends overlap, meaning like it stops overlapping, then it'll also call this. And what we're going to do here is the server is going to call, server local hide self is going to call local hide self, and local hide self is going to call the camera hide character. And if we double click camera hide character, this is where it actually hides your weapon and your mesh and your stowed weapon. But we have to add some, we got to set the visibility of these new weapon blueprints that we created. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here, we're going to set visibility of the weapon BP. And let's see, the top one is owner no see is true, meaning that he's invisible. So new visibility is going to be unchecked for not visible. And check the propagate to children box. So that should do that. And that's for the weapon BP. We also want to do that for the stowed weapon BP. Drag that in, connect it. And we're just going to copy the same thing for set visibility, paste it down here. But this time we're going to make the visibility true because we want it to show. And I'm going to just copy the same, I'm just going to connect the same variables here. So we'll connect those in like that. And I believe that'll do the trick. Let me double check my other one just to make sure. Yep. All right. So now we got that. Save. That should do it for hiding the weapons and stuff. Now we have to actually make some weapons. So we're going to go to the weapons folder, weapon BP, and this parent weapon BP. We're going to right click it and we're going to click create child blueprint class. And this is how you're going to make every one of your weapon blueprints. So for this one, we'll call it like, I don't know, AK underscore BP. So this could be any weapon you want. You open it up and it gives you this base thing here. And now you can change it to whatever you want. So let's change this gun to a rifle that glows, the LMG one glows. And there we go. Compile, save, and then let's make another one. So find the parent weapon, create child. This one will be laser BP or laser underscore BP. Doesn't matter what you name them, as long as you know what they mean. Open it up, and we'll change this model to a laser. Laser, and then we just have to move this muzzle to where we want it here. This is where the muzzle flash and the bullets are going to come from. So that looks good to me. Compile, save. All right, so now we have two new weapons that we just created blueprints for. And in your case, you can add attachments, you can add magazines, scopes, sights, whatever you wanted. But I don't really have anything here, so I could show you just for the fun of it. I will add a cube and I'll shrink it down to something, I don't know, something like this. Take this off so I can actually scale it. So this could be like your red dot scope or something. There we go. I'll give it a weird material, like a laser material, so that way I can actually see it. And let's just duplicate it and move this one up to here. All right, so there's my new gun. But one thing I do want to mention though is if you do add things like this, you gotta make sure that their collision is set to none. So set it to no collision. You may want to just go ahead and do custom and then just check ignore all right here. So that way it's not colliding with anything, because you wouldn't want that to bump yourself or anyone else. It might send you flying, or it could mess up something. So that'll work. All right, we'll do the same with this one too. So we'll set it to custom, ignore all, save. All right, so now we have those weapons. Let's go into our weapon data table and actually set these things. So I'm going to I'm going to click the laser and I'm just going to right click it and hit duplicate. And we're going to call this the laser BP. And then down here under the weapon BP, we're going to use the laser BP, laser underscore BP. And the only thing we need to change now is nothing, I don't believe. Everything is good. So it's all set. We're all good. Let's make another one. So this one, I think I'll take the light machine gun, which is LMG. Well, let's just do like, yeah, AK-47. We'll click that. We'll hit duplicate. I'll call it AK BP. And let me just put an underscore on this too, so that way it's consistent. So we have laser underscore BP, AK underscore BP. So the AK underscore BP, we need to select the actual BP. The BP, we'll call it AK underscore BP right there. We picked it. Now it's all set. And now we need to give it to our character to start with. So let's go up to characters, child character. And let's see if we'll just play as the green character. How about that? So in the green character, instead of giving him the starting rifle, let's give him the AK underscore BP. There we go. Save. And let's just hop into a level. Save. Alright, let's hop into like Arena 1. Okay, so let's check to see if it works first. So let's go in a new editor window. As you can see, I got my AK. Works good. So now let's add weapons that you can pick up. So let's just like, where's the laser one? That's already set. Burst, laser. Let's just copy this laser one over here. So now we have this pickup. We're gonna make it the laser underscore BP. And that's what we're gonna be picking up here. It's set the stock and all that. We open up the game. Come over here to pick it up. And as you can see, there's my laser gun with the little cubes on the top. And my other gun is on my back. And you can switch between the two. Oh, but it didn't switch. Okay, so we must have missed one thing for the stowed weapon because it's not setting it. Okay, so what do we miss? We must have missed something small for the stowed weapon for it to not show up. Dang, that's a lot of stuff open. Let's find the event graph here. Okay, so let me just double check my other project. I must have missed something very small. So we set the weapon up and down, right? And we set that to stowed weapon. And it's connected. Let's check this one. Stowed weapon, skip owner. Okay. Ah, we didn't see. This is what it is. We didn't connect it to the server switch weapon. So inside of the cycle weapon up, this stowed weapon BP var, we have to drag it and connect it into this server switch weapon. And we need to do the same thing for the cycle weapon down. Connect that in, connect the pin, done. So now it'll actually get set and we'll be able to see it on our back. So let's do that, hop into the game. Pick up a gun, it's on our back, switch weapon, it's on our back. So now you can see the gun on my back actually has the cubes on it. And then we switch. Now I have it in my hand. Now let's test the collision here. So if you back into a wall, it disappears. Your gun and your stowed weapon and everything disappears. All right. So that's pretty much it, guys. I think that's everything. Let me double check. I think that's everything that you have to do to get this thing working. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, now anytime you go to make a new weapon, all you have to do is just go into your weapon BP, click the parent weapon BP, and just create another child. Call it whatever you want, and then you just open it up and edit to your liking. You can change the mesh to whatever you want, and you can change it to. You can add things to it. I mean, you can come up here, you can add a component and add in another static mesh, and then change it to something like whatever you want. You'll be holding it. You can put a couch in here if you want. You can have a couch gun. I mean, so that ought to open the door for all kinds of possibilities for weapons. And yeah, so and then just remember, you know, in the weapon data table, whatever weapon you're picking, you just set the weapon blueprint at the bottom down here to your weapon blueprint, and this will be the weapon that pops up when you shoot. So yeah, thanks guys, thanks for watching. I hope that explained a lot, helped you guys out. Um, Keep an eye on my YouTube channel and stuff like that. I'll probably be posting more tutorials and things like that. Uh, Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe if you want to. That's awesome. And see you guys later.